Hi, welcome to ABC Homestead. My name is Kelly and this is Friday. So this is another edition of Freeze Dry Friday. Today it's going to be really simple. I am going to be doing about 7.5 pounds of sliced mushrooms. Not very exciting. However, I am nearly out of mushrooms in my cabinets and I love to have them on hand. They are so versatile. I have done them dehydrated and I have also done them freeze dried. It is probably faster to do them in the dehydrator. It takes less than a day, and in the freeze dryer it's going to take a little bit longer than that. And the difference when they come out is the freeze-dried mushrooms are going to rehydrate quicker than the dehydrated mushrooms. And on the other hand, they're going to be a little bit more fragile than if they were dehydrated. Both are very good. Since nothing is in my freeze dryer right now, I'm going to go ahead and use that. That is really hands-off and easy for me to do. So let me bring you down. We're going to load up the trays, get them into the freeze dryer. And then when we're done, I will show you 1 or 2 ways that I will be using those freeze-dried mushrooms. This could not be easier. I have some sliced and washed mushrooms that I was able to source on sale. So pretty good deal. I went ahead and loaded up on 6 of the 20-ounce packages. So I have half white mushrooms and half sliced baby Bella mushrooms. And I hope I can get all of these onto the tray. I have the medium freeze dryer from Harvest Right, which comes with 4 trays. I'm not pre-treating these mushrooms at all. I'm not blanching them. I am just going to load them on and pop them into the freeze dryer, which makes it just so easy. All right, those are the white mushrooms. I'm just going to spread them out. And with the freeze dryer stuff, as long as your food is not taller than the shelf that you're going to slide this tray into, it's fine. The more packed you have your trays, typically the longer it's going to take to freeze dry. But these, there's not much moisture in these. They're going to freeze pretty quick and they're going to sublimate and dry pretty quick as well. And this is my bowl of the Baby Bellas. I absolutely love having mushrooms on hand, and I don't always have them fresh in the refrigerator because they go bad so quickly. I have grown them once. One year I did grow oyster mushrooms, and that was such a treat to have in the garden. I didn't grow them last year, and I need to get some in my pantry. All right, there you have it. My trays are loaded. I don't have to pre-freeze these. I'm choosing not to pre-freeze these. These are just gonna slide right in and we're gonna get going. I'll meet you over at the freeze dryer. Here we are, the freeze dryer is ready to go. It's been cooling down for 16 minutes. It only needs 15. So I'm just gonna open the door and load up those trays. Got some nice full trays of mushroom. And as you can see, the mushrooms are not touching the top plate, which is the warming plate of the insert here. So this is a fine amount of mushrooms or food on each of those trays. So I just need to follow the instructions on my panel, which is to close the drain valve. And that is going to allow a vacuum to form in here. And then I just need to press continue. Now it's going to go into the freezing process. As soon as it's done with that, it'll go into the sublimation process where it draws out all the moisture from these guys, traps it on the inside walls of the machine, and then it goes into a drying phase. I want to say this is going to take less than 24 hours, but we'll see. I'll bring you back as soon as they're done. Here we are back at the freeze dryer. It has been 39 hours, although that is really deceptive because this probably finished a little bit after midnight, or I knew it was going to finish a little bit after midnight, but I was exhausted. and went to bed early. So I threw a whole bunch of more hours on it so I could just get to it comfortably when I was up today. So I need to vent this in order to release the vacuum. Now I can go ahead and open this. There is not much ice buildup in here at all. You can barely even see any. I will go ahead and defrost this just because I don't have any trays ready to go in right now. And by the time I'm ready to use this again tonight or tomorrow, it will have manually defrosted. So here are our mushrooms. They look just as lovely as they did when they went in, but they are styrofoam at this point. They are totally dry. So let's get these into the kitchen and let's find some uses for them. All right, here we have 4 medium freeze dryer trays filled with beautiful mushrooms. We have our cremini or our baby bella over here and our white mushrooms over here. You can see that with freeze drying, they maintain their shape. Nothing in their cell structure has been destroyed by a heat process. So that is why they will rehydrate to their normal shape when you're ready to use them, if you choose to rehydrate them. So mushrooms are fat-free, low sodium, low calorie. They are cholesterol-free, and they're very, very rich in selenium, which is an antioxidant, so a cancer-fighting agent. And it is actually the richest source of selenium that you can find in the produce section at the grocery store. They're also an excellent source of soluble fiber, beta-glucan, which improves cholesterol and boosts your overall heart health. It's also got it's a good source of vitamin Bs, including niacin, riboflavin. And then it has pantothenic acid. I think that's how you say that. And all 3 together, the B vitamins and the pantothenic acid, they work together to promote your overall heart health. And the pantothenic acid is especially good for your nervous system, and it helps the body to produce the hormones that you need. Mushrooms are also a really good source of copper, which helps you make red blood cells. And finally, they are a good source of potassium as well, which is good for your heart, your muscle, and your nerve function. And to boot, mushrooms are believed to really improve your memory. Some mushrooms, like lion's mane, of course, these are not lion's mane, but there's a lot of studies being done on lion's mane's mushroom to reverse and stop the effects of Alzheimer's and dementia. So mushrooms are an excellent additive to your diet. I've got a jar here and I've already labeled it with a Sharpie, mushrooms. I label all of my jars with Sharpies as long as the contents aren't so dark that I can't see what I've written on them. This allows me to see what it is when it's sitting on the shelf, and I don't have to write on the lids and tip it over to see what it is. So I've got my large freeze drying supplies canning funnel here. I'm going to move a couple trays out of the way. And we're going to get these loaded in. This funnel is really great because you can literally just slide things off into a small mouth jar. My hands are clean and they're also very dry. You don't want to handle freeze-dried food with wet hands because you will start to rehydrate the food. All right, that was about 1 tray. I think we're good there. I'll leave it like that. So, not going to put an oxygen absorber in these. These are going to be able to just sit on my shelf just like this. They'll get used up. Well, they'll probably get used up within probably 4 or 5 months, maybe even sooner than that. I really like mushrooms. But overall, these are not going to go bad. I could leave them on my shelf for at least a year. It's not like they're going to be opened and closed a ton, so they're not going to be absorbing moisture from the air. They're going to be just fine like this. And the rest of these, I'm going to go ahead and get in some Mylar. I think I can get the rest of these into 2 Mylar bags. And if you've seen my other Freeze Dry Friday videos, you've seen me do this before. This is a 1-gallon bag, and I am just going to slide the tray right inside the bag all the way. And then just tilt it up and give it a little shake. Until all the mushrooms come off. I can get about, I think, 1.5 trays in here. And get a few more in there. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and zipper that closed for a minute while I fill the other bag. There we have it. We have 2 gallon-sized bags filled with mushrooms for my long-term storage in my pantry. I'm going to take out 2 of the 300cc oxygen absorbers, which is the right size for a 1-gallon bag. Close this up right away so these stay viable. And I know these are viable because they are still very pliable. They would be rock hard if they had absorbed oxygen. I'm going to zipper this closed most of the way and then just kind of press some of the air out before fully zippering it. Do the same over here, almost all the way, and then I'm just going to press some air out, and the oxygen absorber will get the rest of that. I'm going to label these mushrooms. With an FD for freeze-dried, because I also do a lot of dehydrating. So I like to know whether or not they're dehydrated or freeze-dried. And then this is April, so 4 of 2024. I'm going to heat seal it above that so that when I tear it open, I still have the zipper so I can reclose the bag if I need to. So I'm going to place this on here, making sure that those tear notches are towards me and not on the heat plate. This little red light is going to go on when I push this down, and as soon as the red light goes off, it's sealed. There you have it. There's a nice heat seal on the top of that bag. One more. And there we have it. We have 2 gallons of fully freeze-dried and preserved mushrooms to go into long-term storage in my pantry. Now that we've got these mushrooms, what on earth are we going to do with them? Well, there's a few things. Number one, you can rehydrate them and you can put them in soups, stews, gravies, meals like a beef tenderloin roast with a mushroom gravy sauce. You can powder them down and you can do the same thing. You can add them to anything, just add an umami flavor. You can also just use them just like this. Just like this, as like a crouton alternative on top of a salad. I love mushrooms. I'm going to show you how I mostly use these. And that's going to require me getting some more things out of my kitchen cupboard. except I'm not tall enough to reach all the way back here. So I need a little help with the spatula. Or I could get the kitchen ladder, but this works. I love a big nourishing bowl of soup. Absolutely love it. It's my favorite go-to for lunch. All I have to do is heat up some water in my kettle and then add this freeze-dried food. So I am gonna start with some freeze-dried bone broth. I did a video on this. I'm just gonna put some in there, probably the equivalent of 3 tablespoons. Here I have some freeze-dried celery. I'm just going to put a little pinch in there. I have some freeze-dried onions. I also have a video on that. I like onions. I have some freeze-dried diced sweet peppers. Just a little of that. Loads of vitamin C in here. Probably the most vitamin C you'll get out of anything that you can grow in your garden. Here are the mushrooms we just did. I am down to my last little bit of freeze-dried kale from last year's garden, but I already have some new kale growing, so that's all right. I'm going to put some kale in there. I also have freeze-dried broccoli greens, freeze-dried spinach, and freeze-dried Brussels sprout greens. Those are all delicious. Do not throw those away. When you harvest your broccoli and your Brussels sprouts, especially the Brussels sprouts, because you tear the leaves off in order to get the actual Brussels sprouts to grow, save those. And you can dehydrate, you can blanch and freeze, or you can freeze dry those, and they are a powerhouse of nutrition and flavor. And then I also have a big jar of freeze-dried zoodles or spiraled zucchini. So I'm going to add some of those zoodles in here as well. This is another way that I like to preserve zucchini. I've got a few different ways that I'll eventually get to on my channel here. I like heat, so I'm going to add a pinch of red pepper flake. I've got some freeze-dried celery powder that I made from the tops of the celery stalks last year or the year before. I'm just going to add that in. A little pepper. A little salt. And then I'm going to add the water, but I'm going to bring you down so you can see how the food reacts once you pour the water in. All right, here we go. We have our bowl with all of that amazing, healthy, wholesome, organic, mostly homegrown vegetable. And a kettle that I put to boil just before I started this video. So it is still very hot. And as I pour the water in, you can see it's going to shrink a little bit in volume because it's going to immediately start absorbing the liquid. And this, I am rehydrating this food. And I know I've said in other videos that when you're talking about liquid, it's a reconstitute. But this is not. This is still a rehydrate because I am just rehydrating the individual pieces of food into a soup. This is probably going to need about 5 minutes to fully rehydrate everything that's in here. Just look at that beautiful, gorgeous health in a bowl. Super quick to make. I don't even really want to wait the 5 minutes. I want to taste it now. Let's give it a taste. This smells amazing. It really does. The bowl is hot though, so it's going to be hard for me to hold it up and show you. But the broth was homemade broth that I then freeze dried. There's a video on that. Oh, that is really good. That is so good. I also have a bunch of freeze-dried shredded chicken, and I think that that would be an amazing addition in here for some protein. I just don't have any in my cupboard right now. It's upstairs in my backup pantry. This is really hot, but I'm going to try the mushroom with a little bit of the zoodle, and there is also some celery on there. There's still a little bit of a bite to it. It's not fully rehydrated yet, but this is so good, and it's just so healthy. There's barely any calories in here whatsoever, but you have so much nutrition packed in this bowl. Another bite, we got some peppers and some zucchini and some kale and another celery in here. Definitely needs that extra little bit of time to fully rehydrate, but I have to get to work. So I'm going to take this with me and I'm going to eat this. It'll be my breakfast because it's morning time. So here you have it. Some ideas that you can use your freeze-dried vegetables for, including mushrooms, so that nothing ever goes to waste, either from your garden, from your farmer's market, or even from the grocery store. Thank you for joining me here in my kitchen. You're at A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and I do hope that you come back and visit again soon.